Hey everyone, Wednesday morning, time for another episode of Come On Ref. It's going to be our NFL draft special. We got a great episode. We're going to go over, it's just some draft ins and outs and ups and downs and things like that. As always, I've got my guys here, man. Aidan Vance and Bales. How you doing, guys?
I'm good. We're in a different spot today. Didn't get the usual room, so that's why we got the blank wall behind us. But what's up, everybody?
We got evicted, didn't we? Ben, how you doing, man? How you doing in the new room?
Good.
Feel good on that couch?
Well said.
It's a chair, but yeah.
Well said, Ben. Well said as always. So I think old people and young people, right? Furniture different. We're gonna talk. That's the first thing we're gonna talk about. What's a couch and what's a chair? That's not it. I'm kidding. We do have a great show. We want to get right into some big kind of NFL news. Just some pre-show stuff I want to go over. It finally happened. You know, the Packers moved Aaron Rodgers, headed to the Jets. Man, what do you guys think about this? I mean, we knew something was coming. I mean, it's been in the works for weeks, but it finally happened, man. Aidan, what do you think?
I think it's a good move for both teams. Honestly, I think it was good for the Green Bay Packers to move on, and the Jets needed a quarterback, obviously.
Yeah.
I do think Rodgers has been on a steady bit of a decline the past 2 years. Obviously, he's still really good, but he's not who he used to be. Movement-wise, he wasn't very good last year. They were a losing team. But I think he gets there with that defense, with Garrett Wilson and some other good weapons like Corey Davis. You know, they signed Alan Lazard. So I think he should be fine. Got to get the O-line right. Hopefully Breece Hall's back for the season. But they should be good.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think?
Kind of going off what Aidan said. Last year, wasn't a good year at all, but at the same time, he didn't really have any, great weapons to throw to. I mean, this year, he has Garrett Wilson, who had a really good year last year with, some subpar quarterbacks throwing him the football.
Yeah.
Now you throw in a Hall of Famer there, and Garrett Wilson's numbers could be even better. And like Aidan said, if they get Breece Hall back, who was a monster last year, it takes some of that pressure off Aaron Rodgers, to go out there and throw 50 times a game to, win you a game, and it could help maybe, prolong his career, or, if they get into the playoffs, help save his arm for those games that you need him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can they make the playoffs? I mean, can the Jets can they win that division? Can you?
With their defense, and if the Jets offense can put up enough points, yes, I feel like they can.
I think they can be a wild card team. I don't know if they're a championship contender though. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, they still got to get through the Bills and
the Bills.
Dolphins.
I'm not. You want me to be honest? I'm not that worried about the Bills as the championship contender, but obviously for the division, they'll definitely be in that competition.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Bills, though, the Bills are aging a little bit, man. If you look at their roster age, I mean, their window's closing.
The Dolphins with Ramsey and Xavier Howard and Bradley Chubb off the edge with some good blitz packages. I mean, I still don't think the Jets' O-line is great, especially their tackles. But so that's definitely in question with Rodgers, especially not moving as well. You got to see where that goes.
Yeah, trades are rarely about the current time, though, especially a trade like this. I mean, if you take a look at what the Packers got the back for Aaron Rodgers from the Jets, is that enough of a haul? I mean, they get the first round pick.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was going to get the first round pick, the second round pick, and the conditional second round pick next year, which is it hinges upon some things with Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to get too into it, but that's a pretty good haul, right?
That conditional becomes a second-round pick if you play 65% of their snaps, which he's going to.
Yeah, it'll be a first-round pick. It'll be a first-round pick.
And going back to 8 point about fixing the offensive line, you have a first-round pick and a second-round pick. You could fix your offensive line in the first and second round of this
Absolutely.
Year. I mean, now first round, they might go receiver. Now I showed Aidan off screen. They're interested in Smith and Jigba if he drops to 13. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't, you could go out. You could get yourself some offensive linemen. Fix fix the offensive line and help Aaron Rodgers, get back to that MVP form.
Yeah. So where the Jets go? Let's take a look at what the Jets got back. Like you said, I think as far as the total get for both teams, we don't know what Rodgers is going to be. But yeah, if you take a look at the Jets here, I don't know. I think they got a pretty good end of the deal. I mean, you get Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Fame quarterback. Again, maybe on the down slant, on the other side of his career a little bit, and that's okay. I think he's still a competitor. Maybe the old change of scene, maybe it does something for him. I have no idea.
I mean, look what it did with Brady. He went out and won a Super Bowl. Tampa
Yeah, that's
Bay,
true. I will tell you this though. Rodgers, if you look at his stats, he was at the bottom of a lot of statistical categories in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
He was bottom 6 in a lot of things.
Yes, and for the Green Bay Packers to get what they got back, I mean, it's going to end up being 2 first-round picks in a second, which is fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Jets get back still a first-round pick, but they lose some picks in there. Their back was kind of against the wall. Rodgers wanted to leave. He didn't want to be a part of the team, and everybody knew where he wanted to go, and that was the only place he was trying to go. So it makes it hard in that way to get a lot back, even if you wanted to. So what they got is fine, and the Jets getting a first-round pick back at least. They're at 17. I wouldn't be surprised if Smith and Jigba goes before then, but he could be there then. So we'll see. I don't know if any of the top. Actually, I would say Broderick Jones from Georgia, and maybe one more tackle will be there. It's hard. Anton Harrison will be there from Oklahoma also. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, and I don't know the Jets' exact tight end situation. I honestly I didn't look it up, but I wonder if the Jets, with a quarterback like Rodgers at the end of his career now, instead of maybe a couple of guys on the outside that can burn, I wonder if they go with the tight end as a safety valve to give him some, just a little bit of comfort.
Their tight end's Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Uzama from the Bengals.
That's right. They're good. Okay, so they're good there. Okay, that's fine. Again, don't want to spend too much time on it. If Roger, maybe the change of scenery works. Maybe the fact that he's wanted out of Green Bay for a couple years is kind of what contributed to those lower numbers there. Who knows?
No doubt.
Maybe he's got some more in the tank. Switch over real quick to the NBA. Rookie of the Year was named. I don't think there's any real surprise here, is there? I mean, are you guys surprised by this?
I think LeBron should have won it, but that's just me.
So LeBron should win the Rookie of the Year and the Player of the Year every year. MVP,
Sure.
Defensive Player of the Year, every year. Why not? Yeah, Palaventure. I mean, you see the numbers. I mean, 20 points per game, 6.9, almost 7 rebounds, almost 4 assists a game. He ran away with it, man. I mean, it was it was almost unanimous. I think he had 54 out of 500 total points or something like that.
Finished second.
I believe Jalen Williams from Oklahoma City, J-Dub is what they call him, and then Walker Kessler finished third, who were all good. All going to be first team rookies this year. But Palaventure averaged 20, was the number one option, 7 rebounds pretty much. Obviously, you can see the stats. Didn't shoot it great, 42%, I believe, from the field. But when you're the number one option as a rookie, you're going to go through shooting slumps and hit a rookie wall. But I mean, he's getting 2 to the ball every time. They don't have great shooters around him everywhere. I know Franz Wagner is a very good shooter, and Wendell Carter actually shot it pretty decent this year. So, but then you have Markelle Fultz, who obviously everybody knows can't really shoot. So he did everything he could. He had him in position to have a chance at a play-in game. Easily the Rookie of the Year, man. I think he's going to be a star in the league.
I do.
Yeah, all but 2 first-place votes. I mean, like I said, I don't think there was any surprise there. We don't want to spend too much time on it. I think, again, they got it right. Real quick, by the way, he's the 3rd Magic player of all time to win the Rookie of the Year award. One, not surprising, Shaquille O'Neal. The other one might surprise you a little bit. It's a guy we know here, and maybe even still at his advanced age, we might be able to use here right now against the Knicks. It's Mike Miller. Believe that?
Start. It's early. Don't start with me. I'll get.
We'll get to the Cavs eventually. I don't want to upset you already, man. Let's completely switch gears because I made Aidan mad. I don't want Aidan to be mad. I want Aidan to be happy. I want Ben to be happy, even though he's got the Steelers hat on over there. I see the Steelers hat, Ben, and it's
cool.
I'm not sure we need to talk about that right now. But speaking of the Steelers, they do a thing tomorrow, right? The NFL draft starts tomorrow. You guys excited about this?
I'm very excited. I want to see where these quarterbacks go. I want to see how far, some of these dudes fall, who rises late. I'm just really interested to see a lot of firsts. Who's the first quarterback? Who's the first offensive tackle? Who's the first corner? A lot of things like that. I mean, the first edge and the first defensive tackle, I'm pretty sure, are pretty much locked in with Carter and Anderson. But there's questions about that too for Carter. How far is he going to fall? He could have been the number 3 pick. Now he could be 10. So I'm really excited.
We'll get to that eventually too. I mean, the first thing I want to ask you, Ben, what do you think about CJ? Where does CJ Stroud end up? Where does he go tomorrow?
First thing I want to say is Do we know any teams that need a GM? Because I mean, I did win the draft challenge yesterday, so
That's true. That's true.
I do think CJ Stroud. Besides, that whole league, C2 cognitive test thing, I definitely think he's top 5, somewhere in that range. One of the teams in top 5 that need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Probably the Colts at 4.
That seems logical. Yeah.
I just think it's going to be one of those teams that is looking for a young quarterback that has some, decent weapons that can, maybe not this year be good, but next year, be in contention for the playoffs. But I definitely think he's going to go top 5.
Okay. So so you're thinking Colts. Does that mean, do you guys think Bryce Young is is he a lock at 1 to the Panthers?
I think he's 1.
Okay.
I think he or Stroud is the right pick at 1, obviously.
I don't think you can go wrong with either one at 1.
Well, no. I mean, actually, if you look at their stats, we can compare what they did. I thought about comparing their careers, but then I thought, it's kind of, the NFL is kind of a what have you done for me lately league, right? So I compared just last season. We have a full season to compare them both. I mean, you can see the numbers. I mean, Stroud almost 4,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 picks. You see the quarterback rating there. They're very, very similar in numbers.
Yeah.
Alabama probably threw the ball a little less. Bryce Young spent, not that much time in games as Stroud did. So you don't get the full 4 quarters of these guys. Otherwise, I think they'd both probably be over 4,000 yards and, Stroud would probably be over 50 touchdowns. But I don't know. Young, people make a deal of the 32 touchdowns compared to Stroud's 41. I don't think Young was asked to do quite as much as Stroud was. I don't know. It's just so hard to compare these two, man. I mean, like you said, I don't think you can go wrong.
Yeah, I kind of agree with he wasn't as asked to do as much. I kind of disagree at the same time. I feel like he was asked to do kind of more with less.
Okay, that's fair.
He didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr. or Emeka Ibuka, who are top. Emeka Ibuka at worst is going to be a top 15, top 20 pick next year.
Yeah, right.
That's the number 2. And Julian Fleming was the number 1 recruit in his recruiting class at the wide receiver position, top 10 guy overall. I mean,
really right.
He's going to be if he gets to his full potential, he'll be a 2nd-round pick at the worst. So, a lot of dudes from Alabama are transferring out because they're not good enough to play there, frankly. And Bryce Young had to make a lot of plays. He missed a game because he got a shoulder sprain. But Bryce Young's very creative inside and outside of the pocket. He's kind of like I don't want to compare him to this, but he's kind of like a point guard, like a Steph Curry, where he's gonna create a play where you're like, oh, he's in trouble. Oh, it's over. Oh, wow, he just threw a touchdown. He's special like that. But Stroud.
So is he Patrick Mahomes in that regard? Does he remind you of Mahomes a little bit?
Yeah, kind of, but it's different because he doesn't shake off sacks, or he doesn't. The arm angles aren't as crazy and the throws aren't as far, right? But
but Mahomes wasn't doing this stuff in college either,
No, he does things similar. He's really, really good. I mean,
with Stroud,
he's special.
Like Abe was saying, he's special, but he's also one of those guys that, if he needs to take off and run, he has the ability to. He's not 4.4 speed, but he's got the ability, to make some plays with his feet, pocket collapse, he can roll out, get your first down. He can make some plays with his feet, like Aiden was saying. He's quick enough on his feet to realize that, hey, the pocket's breaking down. I have to roll out. I have to make a play here. And if I remember right, I don't think many of the interceptions last year, if any of them were truly his fault.
Stroud's?
Or Young's.
Young's. He had a couple that were his fault. He threw behind.
Yeah,
when they lost to LSU, I can remember.
Yeah.
He split the pocket, threw behind in the end zone.
It's not like Levis, who is going out there and just trying to fit every ball into a tight window to make himself look good and throws, a bunch of interceptions. Both these guys threw, they threw 11 interceptions combined, and I like you said, maybe only 2 or 3 of them in total were the actual quarterback's fault.
Yeah, and the thing
they do such a nice job of taking care of the football, and that's so important in the NFL. I think I trust Stroud's ability to throw into a tight window a little more. But I honestly, I didn't watch Bryce Young as much as I watched CJ Stroud, so I'm a little bit biased. I can admit that. I'm an Ohio State fan as well. That's there. So I don't know. I just don't know. It's so hard to project quarterbacks from college to the NFL. I mean, it really, really is difficult. You got guys that Jamarcus Russell, who was a surefire can't miss pick, and you know how that ended up. And then you've got guys like Tom Brady, who almost the last guy drafted, and now he's considered maybe the greatest of all time. So. Who knows? Trying to guess what a quarterback is going to do is nearly impossible. I'm glad I don't get paid to have to do it.
No. You got any comparisons for those guys or anything?
Stroud, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard. It's just tough to see until they actually get into like, the NFL and face NFL defenses and work, within the framework of an NFL offense. It's really hard to compare. For me, it is. I mean, what do you think?
I think Bryce Young, everybody said it. I think you can kind of compare him to like a Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They're both on the smaller side. They could both use their feet if they could both use their legs, if they needed to. They can both throw the ball all over the field.
Yeah.
And I think with Stroud, I think he's, like you said, I don't really know quarterback off the top of my head that you could really compare him to.
For Stroud, I feel like him and this guy win the same way. They win with like pre-snap, knowing where you're going to be in anticipation with throws and stuff like that. And sometimes that gets them in trouble because they're anticipating thinking so far ahead.
Yeah.
If you watch Dak Prescott, they play pretty similar.
Yeah.
They're decent athletes, can run when they need to, but it's never their first choice or second choice really. But win with a lot of pre-snap. They're just really smart quarterbacks, and they win from the pocket mostly.
I like that comparison, but like you said, if he can hold on to the football, and like Prescott last year, who threw like what 16 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, but
like you said, all that's anticipation. A lot of it's anticipation, and if Stroud can sometimes just go away from that anticipation and go through his reads, I feel like he could elevate himself to a top quarterback.
Yeah,
kind of like Trevor Lawrence.
We'll see what happens.
Kind of Trevor Lawrence. His first year he wasn't good, and then last year he was incredible.
But Lawrence has a top.
Well, he also had a year under Urban Meyer too. That's
that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Urban Meyer is a great college coach, but it was a disaster in the NFL. Let's be honest.
Lawrence is a chosen child and has one of the best arms in NFL history on his shoulder. So, we'll see what happens.
That's a different comparison there. And we got to get to the part of the draft that I really can't stand. Before we get into comparing other players, I do want to mention this because I think it's relevant with one of the guys we just talked about. Man, I don't understand what's in it for these draft analysts to perpetuate rumors that they hear. Why does this happen every year? I mean, every year it's not concrete, court docket type things that we're talking about with character issues. It's always like, well, what I heard was this guy did so and so. And why does this happen? What is with this, man? Why does this happen every year?
Got to tear somebody down to build somebody else up in their head. That's how they do it.
But the media, why? Why?
I don't know. It's happened every year. You go look through history. There's always one quarterback that falls because of the media making narratives about them. It was Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Last year kind of got to Malik Willis, but I mean, obviously he's not a great quarterback. I mean, that class was not very good.
Yeah.
It just all depends, man. I just think, there's going to be somebody that's torn down next year. Caleb Williams' character is going to come into consideration or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But, again, I think those are valid concerns. I mean, when you're writing swear words on your hand, before the game, maybe that's an okay concern to have. I mean, what has CJ Stroud ever done to? I mean, it's bizarre.
If you're gonna write swear words on your hand, at least go out there and beat the team and not lose.
That's fair.
It's not embarrassing.
That's fair. So, is it personal? Let me ask you, what is Brady Quinn's problem with CJ Stroud? Then is it a personal thing?
I don't know if it's personal, but
why do you do this? You make yourself look like a clown, like going on TV and talking about a rumor that you heard from someone when there are so many people out there that have refuted it. People that are in the know, right?
It's kind of like I don't know if you guys remember the punter from San Diego State, Matt Ariza, had that whole allegation of, that him and a couple buddies, quote unquote, gangbanged a girl.
Okay.
Turned out that it was, false.
Okay, Ben. I understand. Let's move on from that, Ben. Let's move on from that. Listen, other things that may hold back CJ Stroud, because it seems like all of a sudden everybody's piling on, right? What's with the test score? Is the test score going to hold him back?
Well, but then Pat, the guy that does the test scores went on Pat McAfee and refuted that rumor too. So I just don't know what's going on. I think somebody's trying to drag him down.
Yeah,
get him
probably Michigan fan. Probably Michigan fan.
I mean, I don't think it's that, but I think it's another agent for another guy or a team trying to get him to fall to them.
Yeah.
One or the other. So I
Yeah,
think
and I know players take a lot of the blame in this stuff. Like, oh, it's probably Bryce Young's agent, that jerk. I mean, it's not. That's the agent's job, right? It's his job to make his client more desirable, to get his client more money. So I guess I understand that. But I think we should talk about the just what's at hand here. It used to be the Wonderlic test, right? Now it's called the C2 cognitive test that these guys are taking. What is a C2 test? I mean, is it the new Wonderlic test? Is it different? I mean, I don't know. I haven't. I was going to take it online last night. I wanted to know, but I couldn't find a way to get into it.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same as like they use the Wonderlic. I wonder if it actually the same random questions or and stuff like that. Because I know the
that
Wonderlic
format
test that it used to ask, like every test was different. Like they were never the same questions. So I wonder if it's all the same test now or it's all just different questions again.
Yeah.
I think it's just more like a cognitive test. Sorry, I couldn't even get the word out. But like
words are hard, man.
Test your processing, how well you process and how fast you do it, and
I feel like
how easy it is for you. You got to go through the test and see where you're at. I mean,
I feel like for a quarterback though, like it could take into some effect because this quarterback, you have to process stuff faster.
No doubt.
But like I don't think it's going to completely. If that rumor turns out that it's not false, he scored 18%. I don't think it's going to drop him out of the top 5. You can't deny talent. C.J. Stroud is an incredible talent.
And some guys, they have a day where they just flew for 4 days straight.
Yeah.
And they're like, and people are like, hey, take this test, and they're like, get it out of my face.
Yeah.
It's like you have to.
I think what we don't take into consideration here too is, we're talking about like atypical brains, right? Like ADHD. If a guy's maybe a guy has Asperger's that's been undiagnosed. I mean, some of these conditions can make it very, very difficult to sit and focus on a 45-minute test. It doesn't mean that this person is unintelligent by any means. It just means that environment is not conducive to their success, right? Some people just don't take tests well. They retain the information, but when it's time to put it on paper, it's gone, right? You can talk to them about it for 45 minutes and they could spit out everything, right? So I don't know. I think it's a good measuring stick. Maybe you use it to gain some insight, but I don't think it's the end all be all.
No doubt. Watch the film. Film doesn't lie.
That's it. And I know people say, well, the level of competition isn't there. It's there. I mean, Division I athletes they're fine. They see some competition. I don't care if they're playing in the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the Mountain West. I mean, you're going to see some good competition.
C.J. Stroud took his biggest test, and it was against Georgia, and I'm pretty sure he aced it. So
he passed.
I think he's all right.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe he didn't win, but you can't put that on him. I'm tired of. Oh, he couldn't win the big one. Every loss that he had at Ohio State, you could probably find a fault with the defense in the game, right?
No doubt.
That's there. I'm going to get to the other quarterbacks because there are two other quarterbacks that I feel are more easily compared. Like Stroud and Young are compared to each other for a reason. These next two guys aren't maybe similar athletically so much, but they're both, big guys, big strong arms or whatever. First one I want to talk about is Anthony Richardson. Can he develop into a superstar at the NFL level? I mean, does he have it in him? Can he do that?
I feel like he could. Kind of like we've been talking about off camera. Like I feel like he could become a Cam Newton type guy. Yeah. I just think that the way he plays, how physical he plays it, he's going to get himself hurt like Cam Newton did, and it's going to shorten his career.
Yeah.
Whereas Will Levis was the other one.
Yeah.
We'll get to him in a little bit, but I feel like Anthony Richardson, we all know he has the arm talent. He has the speed. He's tall. He's athletic. And I just think he's going to get himself hurt with how reckless he plays. Unless he can tone it back and turn into a more of a true quarterback, I feel like he's going to get himself hurt like Cam Newton did. It'll cut his career short.
Yeah. If you watch Anthony Richardson play, he ran some, but he wasn't just out there taking hits for no reason. Will Levis is more of that guy. He does take a lot of hits for no reason. With now being able to see pressure coming if you watch the film or watch the games they play. Anthony Richardson maneuvers the pocket well. Obviously, there's some, just some throwing motion stuff he has to get to. But his arm is the best. And, I mean, he might be able to go into the NFL right now and throw the farthest in the NFL today. His arm's that strong. And he runs a 4.43 at 240 pounds. Could he develop into a superstar? Absolutely. He could develop into the best player in the NFL.
I haven't seen a dude that tall, that heavy, running at you that fast. If I'm a small
what do you think, Chad?
I'm laying down.
I think he can. Will he? I don't know. There are so many factors at play.
No.
Where does he end up, right?
I think he has to go to a situation where he's a backup first.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that. I don't think you can plug him in as a starter day one. I think he has too many footwork issues and too many just mechanics issues.
So how far do we think he falls then?
Not outside of top 10.
I don't think so. No, because let's take I want to look at the comparison between Levis and Richardson, because I think we kind of compared CJ Stroud to Dak Prescott, right? And then we said no, maybe Bryce Young is Russell Wilson type quarterback. Okay. To me, and I think I want to get out in front of this. I think Anthony Richardson, you said it, kind of reminds me of if he can develop to the point where he's, maybe a little more refined mechanically. I think he could be a Cam Newton type quarterback. And then maybe I'm wrong on this, but I see Will Levis as like a Josh Allen when he was coming out of college, right? Like
I got one for Will.
Okay.
Jay Cutler.
Okay. All right.
Big arm.
Yeah.
You always wondered about what he was doing mentally.
Yeah.
Dude, he puts mayonnaise in his coffee, so.
Yeah, right. Eats the whole banana peel and all. Maybe that's not true anymore. We found out that may not have been true, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But yeah, Will Levis to me, if you want to say like Aldi brand version of Josh Allen,
fair.
But
still nutritious, but not quite the appeal of the
Walmart, Yeah. But hey, we'll see what happens with him. I think obviously huge arm. I don't think he's anywhere near the athlete he's getting billed as.
No.
But he's still a good athlete, just nothing special. He's not a Josh Allen level athlete, I don't think.
I mean, they usually, speaking of he's not the Josh Allen athlete, but I mean, if he needs to use his feet, he can. So it's not he's not an athlete, but he's not gonna blow by somebody 4.4 speed. But
well, yeah, he didn't run the 40 for a reason. I mean, he's got good hand size, good long arms, but I mean, there's a reason he didn't run the 40 in the combine, right?
Yeah. What do you think, Chad?
Levis, I don't know. I think I didn't. I never considered the Cutler comparison until you said it.
Yeah,
but they both are kind of similar, man. Like mentally, psychologically, physically, even. Levis is probably a little bit bigger, but yeah, they both have kind of that send it mentality, man. Like, don't really know what they're doing on or off the field. You just kind of find out when it happens. So I don't know. Levis is a little more of a wild card for me. Richardson has a lot of work to do. The physical tools are there, but I mean, Ben, I think you said it. Sometimes watching Levis's film, man, he'll just throw it, man. I don't know if he's a one read guy or whatever you want to say, if he has trouble going through his progressions, but sometimes, man, I would see him let go of a football, and I'm like, where are you throwing the ball, man? Like, how could you see something there, right? So I don't know if it's just maybe like you said, not feeling the rush in the pocket, kind of panicking a little bit, getting rid of the ball. He's got to tone that down. That's not going to fly in the NFL.
And he's big enough, to be able to shake off those sacks. 6'4", 230 pounds, that's big enough. That's not like Bryce Young, where he's going to get hammered, but he's 6'4", 230. He can bounce off some tackles and make a play in the pocket still. He doesn't have to throw it right away because he's going to get hammered. Yeah.
Oh, he's got happy feet though. It seems like he's got a little bit of happy feet in there. I think he doesn't know that he can take those hits.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But speaking of quarterbacks, I want to stay on the quarterbacks because this is probably the biggest storyline in the draft. I think the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Especially with our Browns don't have a first round pick, so whatever. Let's talk about the quarterbacks.
No doubt.
Let's talk about safety versus risk. Okay. I love this. This is a conversation I love. I always put myself in like a GM shoes and I say, okay, I'm torn between these 2 or 4 or 5 players, whatever. Which player has the highest floor? Which of these quarterbacks is the safest pick right now? If you're an NFL GM and you're not going to ask him to come in and do too much, but you want him to come in, plug him in as a starter, you might win 10, 11 games. Which guy do you think has the best, I guess, chance to have the ability to do that?
In my opinion, I think it's Bryce Young.
Okay.
Only because we've seen him, going there, some games, he might only throw for 220 yards, but he has 5 touchdowns. I get it. He might be playing against a bad team, but at the same time, it's like, he doesn't need to go out there, and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns to win you a game.
Yeah.
As long as he executes when you need him to. But that's my opinion. What's yours, Aiden?
I think it's Stroud, just from an accuracy and ball placement standpoint.
Yep.
He can put stuff where nobody else can. His mind is really helpful. He's really good in play action, which is awesome for rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And just go to a team that runs the ball well. He'll be
Yes.
fine. I think he can, be 7, 8 win quarterback as a rookie at least if the team isn't great. So we'll definitely see, and depending on what division he's in. So yeah, I'm excited for CJ.
What about you?
Yeah.
What about you, Chad?
I agree with Aidan. I think it's CJ Stroud. I like Bryce Young's ability to create, but again, now that creativity, that can be a wild card because CJ Stroud is really good at the things that are like, fundamentally there every time, right? Like put the ball into a tight window. That never goes away. That creativity can go away. If you get a guy that's behind the quarterback, you get a guy that, keeps his eye on Bryce Young or whatever, you can kind of, counteract those things on defense. But when you've got a guy just throwing it where only his receiver can get it, there's not a lot you can do as a defense. I mean, sometimes that's what Brady was so good at, right? I think of Rich Gannon, for the Raiders. I mean, Rich Gannon carried the Raiders to a Super Bowl. They lost to Tampa, but he carried the Raiders to a Super Bowl with just his arm accuracy. I mean, the guy could throw the ball wherever and I feel like Gannon never threw like more than a 9-yard pass. It was just, just completing passes, moving down the field, moving the football, getting it to his guys. That's all it is. I mean, that's the job, right? That's when you're a quarterback, just get it to your guys. Take the ball from the center, get it to your playmakers and go, man. That's it, right? Don't overthink it.
I agree.
That's pretty simple. Yeah, I think it's CJ Stroud. Now, on the other end of that, I think I know what you guys are going to say, and I think it's going to be the same as me. Which of these quarterbacks has the highest potential? I mean, maybe a little bit more of a risky pick, but the ceiling's up here. Which of these guys do you think?
I just don't even think it's close, really.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's like in this. I don't like. If all these guys reach their highest level potential, CJ Stroud reaches top 10 quarterback. Bryce Young reaches like top 7 quarterback. Levis is like a top 12 guy. Yep. Anthony Richardson's the best player in the NFL.
Yes. Yep. I don't think it's close.
It's a completely different level. It's Cam Newton doing the dab and taking his team to the Super Bowl MVP.
Yes, the MVP Cam Newton.
15-1 Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And then loses to Peyton Manning, but
he lost to the Denver defense.
That is true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah,
man, it's so easy to blame these losses on quarterbacks, isn't it? It's so easy, but I don't know. Let's completely switch gears. You mentioned Jalen Carter earlier. How far do you think he falls? I mean, there's obviously some, I don't know, character concerns, off the field stuff going on with the accident he was involved in. Does that hurt him at all in this draft, you think?
I think it does a little bit. Obviously, he'd be a top 5 pick, I think, if it wasn't like no brainer top 5 guy.
Yeah.
I think the latest he falls is to 9 at the Bears. I don't think he goes past that.
Yeah, I don't think he falls at the top 10.
You think the Bears would take him? You think the Bears would needing weapons and all kinds of things for field? You think they would take a defensive lineman?
Yeah, because they got DJ Moore in the trade.
That's right. I forgot about Moore. And there's nothing wrong with building the trenches anyway. Yeah, I get that. That's fine.
And they got to get better defensively. I think they would. Either that or an offensive tackle for them. So I think if he gets a 9, I think they'll go there. Yeah,
I know everybody thinks they're going to take a receiver, but I don't think that's the move for the Bears.
No, I think they'll be good enough at receiver. A lot better especially with Cole Kmet as a tight end. He played well at the end of the year, so
yeah,
I'm not too worried about that with DJ Moore. He's a true proven number 1 receiver with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield as his quarterback, so I think he'll be all right.
Got some time over the summer to build chemistry with Fields too as well. So,
and you can always take a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round, and if you really want to go receiver and you just want the best available player, you're going to take Jalen Carter. But then you could go with a speedy, shifty guy receiver at in the 2nd or 3rd round and still get yourself a receiver.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that are in that kind of we talked about it on the mock draft special. There's a lot of teams that are kind of in that weird. They have a couple holes to fill, but they're also good enough that they can afford to just take the best player available and put them in, and you've got a 4 or 5 year starter there, guaranteed. And I think that's not where the Bears are, but yeah, there are a lot of teams that are in that position. I think the Bears do have to build either, in the trenches or, I think now that I think about it, it's got to be D-line or O-line. I think you're right, Aidan.
Yeah, D-R-O line, I would agree.
I think you're right.
You guys don't think they should go kicker?
And
first round, I think kicker's the move, but not or long snapper. I think maybe first round.
That might be a good one.
I'm done, man. So listen, there's always every year. I think of like Laramie Tunsil and the gas mask, or whatever. That's the one that comes to my head right off now, or right off the top of my head right now. But think there'll be any major surprises this year at the draft? I mean, is that there's something every year, right?
Unless somebody that's not Bryce Young or CJ goes 1, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I don't think everybody's I know that Will Anderson is extremely talented, but the Panthers aren't in a position to take Will Anderson number 1, are they? They're not going to do that. Like,
no, I'm pretty sure. The Panthers traded up to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The report I saw earlier today said that Frank Reich and the front office are set on the guy that they're taking at number 1. So
yeah.
And a lot of times when the report comes out that early, they're not going to change. So
No.
It's going to be a quarterback at 1.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think you go with your gut, especially when there are, this many millions of dollars and this many jobs and people's lives at stake. Not lives, but their livelihoods. Yeah, I think you just got to go with your gut, and whoever your guy is right now, you don't change between now and the draft. I mean, that's unless something comes out. I mean, if something major comes out, obviously that's part of the surprise. You don't know if there's going to be any major surprises. I think it's it's still kind of fun to watch the draft for that, even though the Browns don't have a first round pick. We're not going to. Probably not even going to hear the Browns mentioned tonight. Let me ask you, as far as the draft goes, can they still get a difference maker in this draft?
I believe so. I've been looking at Keanu Benton from Wisconsin, the defensive tackle.
Okay.
Really good player. Close to a 3-down guy pretty much on the interior, so that's a big time get.
Yeah.
Obviously got Dalvin Tomlinson. Obviously, we got Dalvin Tomlinson, but we need more interior. Yeah. Obviously, with Perry on Winfrey, we don't know what's going to happen to him. So,
yeah,
I'm very keen on Keanu Benton. I hope he's there. I don't know if he will be, but I really do like him out of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns don't even have much of a package to put together to trade up. I mean,
oh no, they can't.
They're just stuck where they are. They're not going to.
No doubt.
Unless they get rid of a player, which they're not in a position to do right now. Ben, what do you think? I mean, can they get? Are you kind of on the same page with Aidan?
Yeah, but I also want to ask you, you guys a question. Since you guys are Browns fans, do you think at some point they go offense, or do you think this draft will be just like fully defense?
I mean, they'll go offense. I bet they'll draft a running back. I bet they'll draft a backup tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll just be depth mostly, except for our 3rd round pick could be a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've got to start thinking about what happens, maybe not this draft, but possibly next year, even though they're going to be strapped on picks next year as well. You got to start thinking about what happens if Jedrick Wills just is unable to play football again. I mean, that's a huge problem going forward for a team that sees their window opening up, right? Like now you don't have a left tackle suddenly, and that's going to be a big problem. There's always so many guys you can slide down the line. You know what I mean?
It gets hard because hopefully James Hudson can be a guy, but I don't know. He's been super inconsistent. I mean, you can't expect too much out of him. He wasn't like a 1st or 2nd round pick.
Yeah, right.
So we'll see what happens, man. We got to draft a tackle at some point. When we had our 2nd round pick, I was looking at Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, but
yeah, I remember talking about that. Yep.
There. So
yep.
We'll see.
Definitely not going to be there for the 3rd round pick. Ben, I guess whatever. I have to ask. I mean, what do you think the Steelers are going to do? Do you have any kind of a plan?
I think we go.
Okay, so football player, great. That's fantastic. Listen, I want to move on from the NFL draft. Listen, it's going to start. It's on ESPN tonight, 8:00. You want to watch the first round? You can see what the Steelers do. No one cares, Ben. I just had to ask you. I didn't really want your answer. It's just a formality. Okay, sorry, Ben. Yeah, but that's 8:00 tonight on ESPN. Round 1. It'll be throughout the week and weekend. You can watch the further rounds. So eventually we'll be on to watch the Browns do something. Speaking of watching a Cleveland team do something, man, we got to move on to the Cavs. They're in big trouble, you guys. They're in big trouble. It's the nightmare scenario. It's what we talked about. They're terrible on the road. And we talked about it. I said, hey, man, if they go on the road and stink it up like they have been in the regular, they're coming back down 3-1, man. And they're coming back down 3-1.
And I was listening to some radio this morning, 92.3 The Fan, and they had somebody on, and he's like, you went out, you traded 5 draft picks for Donovan Mitchell, and he got you 11 points. He's like, is that really what you traded for?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's not wrong.
But
he's not wrong, but at the same time, like if Donovan Mitchell says that he's the guy, like you can't be scoring 11 points in a crucial game.
I mean, Yeah, I guess. But, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's top 10 points per game in the playoff history. That's the guy you were trading for. He scored 38 in game one.
But he scored 11 in the game you needed him to score.
Yes, I get that. That happens. That's basketball. But you traded 5 picks for a guy that averaged 28 points and led you to 50 wins for the first time since 1998 without LeBron. That's the guy you traded for. That would make sense. Congratulations. He had one bad game. You want a cookie.
Well, listen, there is plenty of blame to go around. I mean, they're out rebounded 47 to 33, right? Like that's not acceptable. You can't do that. I know that, the Knicks are a much bigger, stronger team, but I mean, the deficit on the boards is a problem, right? Like you've got to find a way to box out. I mean, they're getting so many offensive rebounds, the Knicks are, and just resetting possessions. And I mean, it's so frustrating. It's hard enough to get a stop in the playoffs, right? It's so frustrating to get a stop and then watch a team get a new 24-second clock. And it's like, man, and the way that game before felt, you knew they were going to score,
Yeah, basketball is a team sport. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell didn't play good, but also Jared Allen had 4 rebounds in 40 minutes as a center. So there's multiple people to talk about. The only one that played any type of decent was Darius Garland, who had 23 points and 10 assists, mostly all of it in the second half.
Yeah, a lot in the third quarter, yeah.
No turnovers. Took over the third quarter, got us the lead. And then we kind of just went away from them after that, and I don't really know why, but game ended after that. So,
like you said,
it sure did. They ran out of time. Ben, you said it, man. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, 11 points on 5 of 18 shooting. I mean, I don't want to hammer the guy. He did turn the ball over 6 times. That's not great. But, also, Aidan, you said it best, I think. Basketball is a team sport, right? And even if so Mitchell's our guy, right? He's going to be our leading scorer. No problem. We know that. How do you score within the framework of an offense that's crumbling? I mean, they couldn't do anything. I mean,
the biggest thing with the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell right now is they're not getting him any easy looks.
No.
They're not letting him create off ball. They're having him on the ball all the time with 4 bodies looking at him.
Yeah.
Keeping it on him because they have Chetty Osmond, who they're treating like Ben Simmons from the 3-point line out there. So it doesn't matter if it's Isaac Okoro, Chetty Osmond. The only person they're really respecting is Karis LeVert any type of way, but they're still not getting that much respect. They don't
have to. Yeah.
Here's my thing right now with the Cavs, and it comes down to one guy, and it's our head coach. Your whole identity, your whole season, the whole entire season was defense and who you were as a team. After one good game, you went away from your complete identity by benching Isaac Okoro, and Jalen Brunson's went for 30. What are you doing? That's been your whole game plan. You've done a bunch of off-ball movement to create space, to empty side pick and rolls with Donovan Mitchell so he can get to his pull-up, but you're not doing that anymore. You're just forcing him to play through traffic, play through a cloud against Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, and Julius Randle. Those are all burly big guys that he's going to have to go through. He's not going to be able to do that.
He's trying to, like, he's getting away from his game plan. I feel like he's just trying to say, like, hey, we have better guys than you do. Like, let's just beat them one-on-one. And that, like I said, that's not our game plan. Our game plan is to get Mitchell to his spot, to play defense, and win games off getting turnovers, and we can't do that.
Game 2, trap, blitz pick and rolls on Jalen Brunson.
Oh, and
how many times have you seen that since? You haven't.
And get Jetty Osmond off Brunson, but
we're just so limited as a roster. The roster built around the core 4 guys is so limited, except really for Karis LeVert, and that's inconsistent, right? Type of not limited. It's just super hard because we don't have guys that can do a little bit of everything. Multiple things. I don't even need everything. I just need a little bit of shooting and a little bit of defense. I don't need you to be a creator or anything like that. Yeah. I just need some help in 2 type of ways. I don't need a 5-tool player as you'd say.
I always said I would like to have 5 guys on the floor that can play 3 positions, right? Like some mix of 3 positions, like offensively, defensively. I think that gives you a good. I mean, you can pretty much cover everything with that, right?
I feel like. I
don't know that they have that. We've talked about it. I mean, they need a wing. They need a 3 guy. They need a guy that they need someone that can just knock down those corner threes. And by the way, I mean, we had a guy here in January. Do you think Kevin Love? Would he contribute in this series?
Here's the problem with Kevin Love.
He's old.
Every time They come down to the other end with Jalen Brunson. He's going to say, whoever's guy is guarding Kevin Love is come here.
Yep, we're switching. Yep, we're gonna pick and roll. Yep.
Easy.
I feel
Yeah,
like
you're right. They would. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't have the legs anymore, I don't think, to keep. And that's been most of the problem with his series. So maybe he doesn't help. It's just I just dream of having a guy over there in the corner just knock down those open threes.
I know.
Cavs miss so many open
early in the
threes.
season, before he hurt his shoulder, it was Dean Wade, who's actually a decent defender at 6'9".
Yep.
Talk about playing three positions. He's kind of 3 through maybe 5 type of guy. Shoots it well. He was shooting 41% from 3, but now after he hurt his shoulder, he hasn't been the same, and obviously he's not playing anymore.
So it puts him in a situation. I mean, if Donovan Mitchell's going to go 11 points again, who else is going to score consistently? Because Darius Garland's been there, but he's also been not there, right?
You need Mobley.
Yeah.
You need Mobley.
Yeah.
And then you're going to need another. You're going to need one other guy that, whether it's Allen or whether that's LeVert, bring off the bench. Or
I know. Listen, I know who they need. Who's going to do it though? Like that's the concern as a Cavs fan. Like, who are you going to actually get that production from? Right now, it's
we need to start running. I think everything has to be ran with mostly Garland's hands on the ball to start actions, to maybe get a swing to a Donovan Mitchell where it's more of a 2-on-2, one in the corner and just him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a dish out to Karis LeVert, and they got to at least respect that some. If they don't, we feel confident with Karis LeVert shooting the 3. But you can't start the action with Donovan Mitchell as much because they're just packed in. So just go to the pick and roll.
They're just going to trap him.
What we changed was the angle of our pick and roll in the third quarter when Darius Garland was playing so well. We changed the angle of our pick and roll, and we changed it to the 5, setting the screen more. So we could get more drop coverage, or if we weren't getting the drop coverage, the lob was open to Jared Allen.
Create some major mismatches there if you can execute it. Yeah.
So it's creating more open looks for everybody. Darius is one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA. Percentage
when he's on, absolutely.
Percentage-wise, throughout the season, has been one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA. So you got to go to that more. You got to go to empty side pick and rolls, and just try to get Donovan Mitchell some easy looks to start the game.
Yeah, I like the idea of letting him move without the ball, maybe like running through traffic, and maybe just maybe he gets lost in there, and maybe that can get him going and spark something, right?
Moving without the ball, like I know it's unrelated, but I saw a clip. Steph Curry the other day ran 126 feet without the ball, and then got the ball and made a 3.
Yeah, I mean, that dude's different.
That's an extreme, just an extremely different case, man. Steph's a different guy, but I know what you mean.
Anybody can do it though. Like, I mean, you don't have to run 126 feet, but like if you're moving without the ball, it's harder for your defender to keep up with you. And then he gets tired, then you get a free bucket.
But you also get tired sometimes.
I was gonna say that tires your legs out too, and then you gotta go down and play defense as well.
Steph is a different breed when it comes to that stuff, man. His conditioning is next level. It's a completely different human being. So.
And let me just put it simply. The Cavs, they're down 3-1. They've had trouble with this, trouble with that. How much of this can you really just chalk up to the inexperience? Because we know it's a factor, right?
I think you can chalk some of that up to game 1. That first time getting punched in the mouth was like, oh, okay, I didn't understand this was playoff basketball. But you responded game 2. After that, you knew what it was. Yeah. You knew you had to be physical.
Well, young team, first time on the road in the playoffs, though. That can be, and I know everybody said like Madison Square Garden, whatever, but it is. I mean, it's a big deal to go as a basketball player. It kind of gives you the butterflies.
Yeah, I agree completely. But then there's game 4. You already know what it's like in Madison Square Garden at that point. Now,
they did play a little better at times.
A little better, right?
Yeah, a little better.
But, you should have known after game 1, in the way you responded in game 2.
That's what it takes.
It was going to be a drag-out fist fight.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for a fist fight. It's a war.
Listen, they've given that effort in exactly one game in this series. It was game 2, and they won. That's what it's going to take. I mean, they're going to have to give that effort now for 3 straight games, or they're done. I mean, if they come out half there, half not, they're going to get blown out tonight. I just don't know. I don't know. We should probably wrap it up. We're close to an hour here. But listen, game 5 is tonight. It's, 7 o'clock, I think? 7 o'clock is the tip on NBA TV? Yes, 7 o'clock on NBA TV. So listen, we'll know more tonight. I mean, we'll watch them at least play at home where they're comfortable. Hopefully they can get a win here and extend the series. If not, we said going in, if they lose in the first round, it doesn't feel like a huge failure, but it does. And if they lose 4-1, it's going to feel like a massive, massive disappointing failure.
Yeah. I feel like if we get it to a game 7 and lose, like you said, like we took them the distance, but if it's anything lower than like a game 7, I feel like you can say it's
or if there's a blowout, like if they go game 6 in New York and get beat, 118-81 or something. I mean, it's hugely disappointing. But yeah, if they fight to game 7 and lose by 3 or 4, even if it's at home, obviously it will be. It's whatever. It's a young team, and I know I heard something on the radio yesterday too about the honeymoon period kind of being over with this team. Maybe, but let's give him this one more year of development. I mean, let's let Mobley see what he's going to be. We'll see what he's going to be, but yeah, let's give him one more year to develop before we say, we're done with this Cavs team. I mean, I think there are big expectations for next year, though. Is that fair?
Oh yeah. I mean, you just had 50 wins.
Yeah.
The Cavs record, I would like to say, would have been good for the second best record in the West, though. East was just crazy. So.
Yeah, East was crazy good this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Switch back over a little bit. Well, hey, listen, speaking of big expectations, man, I had big expectations for you guys in the show, and you didn't disappoint, man. But we need to get out of here. Like I said, we're almost under an hour. For my co-hosts, man, for Aidan Vance and Ben Bales, I'm Chad Bryan. We will see you next time on Come On Ref. Guys, tell the people goodbye.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out, guys.